This weekend was pretty special for me. I rejoined my old University of London library. About 30 years ago, I was a member of the library because I was part of the convocation, part of the alumni of University of London, and it was just great. But they changed the rules. But recently, they've changed the rules again, and now I can access the library again. I can go in there and just look around, browse, reference, just an amazing selection of books. I mean, the University of London probably has got, I don't know how many, millions and millions of books, a few more books than me. Not that many more, but still a few that are just great to look at and read. Arts, science, films, especially films. I love films. Loads and loads of things like that. And it's just brilliant. So if you're a member, or you obviously passed your degree, London University, you can now go to the library and you can do this for free. All you need, passport, driving license, those sort of things, as well as, of course, a statement showing where obviously you live. And then just go and join. Just pop in there and you've got access to a vast library of information. Lots and lots of rooms where you can just sit and obviously you've got your laptop and all those sort of things, do research. For me, it's just things like film books. I love like French New Wave, Italian films, all those sort of things. And they've just got stacks and stacks of books on that subject. So it was just an absolute joy to go back there. And it was nice to reconnect with my old university, something that I haven't done. Now, my university was a bit further out of town. It wasn't in the centre. But I probably spent more time at the Central Library. I just loved going in there, reading through all the books. The only change that were back in the day used to have lots and lots of magazines, periodicals. And unfortunately now they do have them, but they're stored away in the stack. That was the only slight disappointment when I went in there. But still, it is just great to actually finally get back to just when I pop up to London, I can pop in there and have a good read of certain books and things like that. At the same time, I went over to the British Library. Now, I was a member of the British Library about 5, 10 years ago, and I just rejoined that as well. Took my card up, my old card, and also, obviously, I had my passport and also my, obviously, bank account, all those sorts of things. I use that to quickly rejoin, and anyone can join that. Whereas the library, University of London Library, the Senate House, you can't unless you're obviously passed your degree with the University of London. You can, of course, get daily passes, those sort of things. But with the British Library, wow, just great, very easy. Just go in there, go to the reader registration room, slightly tucked away. You have to go upstairs, turn the corner, go in there. And it was about 10 minutes and that was it. Had a photo taken, get the card, and brilliant. Then I can just go off and show the card. Obviously, you go to the various places, just show your card, and they will let you in. And you've got access to the entire British Library, all the sort of things that you want. Now, obviously, they do not have every single book instantly available. It's not like you can go around and pick them off the shelf. You can in the University of London Library, most of the books. Now, they have got obviously lots of special stuff which you can't access in the British Library, as well as, of course, University of London Library. I guess you need to get special access to that. But it's just great to get those books very quickly from the stacks. You can just order them, obviously, on your computer beforehand, or, of course, when you go actually to the library. Now, don't hold me on that, how easy it is. I've generally always gone there and accessed them via just picking them off the shelves. And for me, it's the record stuff. There's vast amount of books about music. I just love going through that section. Also, like the Radio Times, I just love looking for all those old Radio Times. They've got Sounds, Enemy, all those things. And of course, vast amount of academic research papers and other things like that. A whole load of stuff in the British Library. Literally any book you can probably imagine, they will be able to access that book and get it for you. However, they will ask you probably a question saying, what's the purpose you're going there for? Luckily, they didn't do that with the London Library. I just want to look at film books, but your degree was in something completely unrelated. Well, taste change, of course. But with the British Library, you need to, I think, give them a reason. And I just general research into records and music and those sort of things. It could be anything. It's just a brilliant resource and really worth checking out. Another great library to go into, and I did have a membership for that, but unfortunately was it about 2 or 3 years ago I last used it, but it's brilliant, especially if you're into the arts. Now, obviously the British Library and also University of London Library has got zillions of books of arts, but the V&A Art Library probably has a lot more. Loads and loads of great books, all related to arts. And again, you can just go along there and you can join. Again, you have to obviously show some details and various things, passports and driving license. But once you've got it, you can go in there and they've just got an amazing selection of books. If you're into comic books like I am, they actually have a really decent selection of comic book related stuff. Lots and lots of great things in the V&A. However, wouldn't say the same for the British Library. Now, the British Library does have access to via the newspaper library. So it's a bit of time probably to get to them because that's right out in the middle of nowhere now. But you probably can access lots of great comic book stuff if you're interested in that. But in terms of comic book related material, I don't think there's a huge amount that you can access at the actual library. You probably can find them online via their catalogue. But it's worth remembering that there's also the V&A if you want that sort of thing. I was quite disappointed in the University of London Library. That did not have that many books related to comic books. Now, maybe in the stacks they've got lots more, but in the actual art section, I went and looked. I saw about eight books. That was all they had, 8 books. And I thought, no, unbelievable. They had like the wonderful like early Victorian sort of period, lots of very, very early sort of stuff, but nothing much related to anything like Superman or anything like that. I think the arts, that's obviously not for libraries sometimes. But the V&A, definitely worth checking out. Also, of course, other libraries. I'm also a member of my local library, and that has a vast selection of books. Unfortunately, most of the books in there now, in easy access anyway, are not related to comic books. There's a few that have got art books, but most are not related to comic books. I think it's about 2 or 3 books at most related to comic books. Back in the day, when we had three libraries in Maidstone, and it was just brilliant. You never know what you've got until it's gone, is that expression, isn't it? And that was the thing with the Springfield Library, was the most amazing reference. But it had loads of great books related to comic books, film. I mean, the film section was enormous. Also, it had loads and loads of books, obviously on literature. H.P. Lovecraft. Really, that's where I started getting into H.P. Lovecraft. Just had virtually all of the Arkham books in the library. It was just such a great source. I don't know if they had R.E. Howard, can't remember, but they certainly had a fair amount of those sort of things. They had music scores, miles and miles of things, art books, everything. Unfortunately, now it's all been reduced down to 1. Obviously, things change, but unfortunately, this new one, you can still access a lot of this material, possibly. But unfortunately, it does require you to obviously go via their catalogue, and of course, there's costs, etc., etc. One time with Springfield, you could just go and access it, and that was brilliant. The archives, the Kent archives, that's still down in the Maidstone Library as well. That's worth checking out. Now, what about your libraries? You've got libraries, local ones. Maybe you went to the University of Manchester and you got a brilliant library there. Maybe the University of Liverpool, maybe you got a brilliant library there. All those sort of things. Do you still go to the libraries? Do you still go to a library? Because I think it's just a great place to check out loads of stuff. And you can, of course, request certain books. And I have done that. Fairly obscure books. I think, you know what? It'd be great if they had some obscure comic book thing in my local library. And they have. I've ordered it as well. I think, wow, great use of. Still, I loved the book. I don't know if anyone else did. I hope they did. But that's still, you can do that. You can order these books. Now, unfortunately, my local one doesn't have many related to things I like comic book stuff. But you can, of course, find other libraries, parts of maybe your county or state or whatever, where you can access probably other things. I don't know. Of course, the library systems may vary. But certainly in Kent, you can go in and look and think, oh, look, they've got that book. And they've got quite a few, like in Faversham or somewhere else. And you can just ask for them to get sent to you for a fairly nominal fee. And especially if it's a quite expensive book, maybe it's really worth that £1 or whatever it is charged to get. However, do you use your library? Do you like libraries? Do you go to your library on a regular basis? Do you get mainly ebooks from your library? Because that's another thing when you join some of these things. I don't know about the British Library. I'm certain it probably does have access to various e-material, but I know the University of London does. And of course, the Kent Library System also has a great access to lots and lots of material. One thing I do use a lot, and that's, well, there's Libby and also Press Reader and other ones as well that you can access via your library card. So it's really good if you want to get sort of, I don't know, latest issues of whatever, Radio Times or something. Instead of buying them, I do buy them occasionally, but also at the same time, it is nice to just dip in occasionally and think, oh, you know what, that I haven't read that magazine for ages and ages. So it's available as an ebook or e-magazine, and then you can just download it, check it out for a period, and then obviously put that back. So that's my run through and rant about how wonderful libraries are. And like I say, it'd be great to hear your comments, thoughts about libraries. Do you use them? All those sort of things.